Hello everyone, how are you? Today I'll teach you how to make this Toon 3D ice cream in Blender in under 30 minutes. Remember, you can pick the settings and colors you like. You don't need to follow everything I do to the letter. Let's begin. Let's delete the camera and the default light so they stay out of the way. First, let's model the ice cream by scaling the default cube. I tried to make this object real size. You can see its actual size here. Scale it again, but on the y-axis, and scale it along the z-axis. Add a subdivision modifier. Right-click, Shade Auto Smooth. Apply the scale and let's go to Edit mode. Add a loop cut and bevel. Enable the X-ray mode and select the top vertices, so you select the front and the back vertices and scale. And like me, make sure you select all the bottom vertices. Let's change the subdivision modifier. In face selection mode, select the front faces and move them forward on the y-axis. And now the back faces. With both the front and back faces selected, insert a face. And scale along the y-axis. Go back to object mode and add a plane to make the stick. Rotate it 90 degrees on the x-axis and scale it. Move it on the z-axis towards the bottom. Scale it on the x-axis. Add a subdivision modifier. Go to Edit mode, add a loop cut and move it towards the bottom. In X-ray mode, select the top edges and scale them on the x-axis. Press A to select all and scale on the x-axis to make it a bit wider. Go back to object mode. Before adding the outline and the materials, we need to add a camera, select it, move into the 3D viewport, and once you like your view, press Ctrl-Alt-0 to align the camera to our view. This is a bit quicker than placing your camera using the gizmos. Now move the camera until you like the exact placement. You could copy my settings. The line art modifier is visible in camera view mode, so that's why I added and placed the camera first. Let's choose our settings. I am in Eevee and I set my color management to standard to make my colors a bit more saturated. To make the materials, let's go to the shading workspace, go to camera view. Make sure you enable scene lights and scene world. Select the ice cream and let's delete the principal BSDF node. Add a diffuse BSDF. You can drag this socket and add a shader to RGB or simply Shift A, add the node and plug it. And now add a color ramp node. Change the color ramp's interpolation mode to constant. Add another color stop. I'm gonna choose this blue color for my first stop. A light blue for the second one. And for the third, a lighter blue color. Now we have our base color, our highlight color, and the shadows. To make the outline, there are 3 different ways. I'm gonna go with the line art modifier, so we need to add a new grease pencil object. Add a line art modifier. Choose object as your source and choose the ice cream as your object. Choose the only layer we have here. Pick the only material. Set your line thickness. Here we have the layer we chose for the outline. And let's pick the outline color. I'm gonna go with a dark blue to keep the color palette limit. Usually choosing too many colors will make your art look bad. In the layers list, I disabled Use Lights so the outline is not affected by the lighting and stays with the same color no matter how bright my light is. I will disable Use Lights in all of the grease pencil objects I will make for this project. For the lighting, add a sun. Let's make it a bit stronger. And now we see our 3 colors, but we need to place them. I'm gonna go to the animation workspace since I have my camera view in one area and my 3D viewport in the other one. And now just rotate the sun until you like the placement of the colors. I want my shadows to be at the bottom. Let's change the angle as well. And I just kept tweaking the rotation settings until I got the highlights on top, the base color in the middle, and the shadows at the bottom. Let's go back to the shader workspace, and I'm gonna move the color stops a bit. Now let's make the outline for the stick. In the same grease pencil object, add a new layer. Let's rename the layers to keep everything organized. I'm gonna rename this material as well and make a new material slot. You could make a new material, but I'm gonna pick this default material since it's already here. But remember to change the line type to line. Pick the color. I'm gonna change the name of this material. Since we changed this layer's name, we need to assign it again. And now add a new line art modifier for the stick. I chose a different modifier for each object, so I could pick a different material and set a different line thickness value for each one. This outline is on top of the other one, so let's move it down by moving its layer down. Select the stick and pick the ice cream material. Let's change the name and make it a single user copy. Pick your colors for the highlight, for the base, and for the shadow. For the shadow color, I'm gonna sample the base color but make it darker and a bit more saturated. I'm gonna swap the placement for the shadow and the highlight colors. To draw the lines on the model, let's add a new layer. Move it down. I'm gonna select the ice cream's outline material and let's go to draw mode. Let's set the stroke placement to surface and change the offset number. My drawing plane is set to view and I'm in camera view mode. I want my strength at 1 and let's disable the pen pressure so my strength doesn't change depending on how hard I press my graphic tablet. If you're not working with a tablet, never mind. This doesn't look good, so let's change the offset. First, I drew the lines with the pressure disabled for the radius, but then I regretted it. It's a matter of taste. If you press Shift while you draw, you'll toggle the use of a stabilized stroke to obtain smoother lines. In a sculpt mode, let's smooth the lines a bit. And in edit mode, with select all stroke points enabled, you can move it a bit and rotate it. Go back to object mode, let's hide the outline, and the strokes are pretty close to the 3D model. It looks good in my opinion. Now let's draw the highlights. Make a new material. I'm gonna sample this highlight color, but I'm gonna make it brighter. Go to draw mode. I'm gonna disable the radius pressure for this one. Remember, we're drawing in camera view mode. This looks off, so change the offset if you need to. While pressing Shift, let's draw a line. Now draw a dot and another line. And do the same with the other side. In edit mode, let's select all these strokes and move them, since they are too far from the 3D model, as you can see. Now let's make the lines at the sides of the model. Select the blue material. Change the stroke placement to 3D cursor. I want a smaller radius, and in the -Y viewpoint, let's draw some lines while pressing Shift. Let's go to camera view mode and in edit mode, move the strokes on the x-axis so they aren't too close to the outline. Now move this one and move this one along the y-axis to take it more to the center. Now pick the stick material, go to draw mode, and I'm gonna draw the lines in camera view while pressing Shift. In edit mode, let's select and move the strokes on the y-axis. Move them closer to the stick. Let's check it in camera view mode and move it a bit more. Move the strokes along the y-axis again. In camera view mode, I'm gonna tweak the placement of the strokes a bit more until I'm happy with it. Back to object mode, I want my resolution to be square, just because I think it looks better with this model. Since 1080 looked a bit pixelated when I rendered it, I'm gonna duplicate the resolution by 2. In the animation workspace, I'm gonna move my camera a bit more. Now let's make the background. Go to the shading workspace, and instead of adding a plane and adding another light for the background, we're gonna make a procedural background. Go to World, make sure you enable Scene Lights and Scene World, add a color ramp node, connect it to the background, add a gradient texture node, connect it to the color ramp, and add a texture coordinate and a mapping node. If the Ctrl-T shortcut doesn't work for you, it's because you didn't enable the Node Wrangle add-on. You can add each node individually. Connect the Windows socket to the mapping node and change this one to spherical. Now we see this circle in the background, but it's too big, so let's change the scale in the mapping node. And make sure you are in camera view mode to see the background we are about to create. And now move it towards the center. You could change the resolution of only one axis to create an oval shape if you like, and then you will have to move it again to take it to the center since the size has changed. Change the interpolation to ease. If you like to make other procedural backgrounds, you can watch this video after you finish this project. Link in the description and at the end of the video. For the background color, you could pick yellow, which is the opposite color to blue. I ended up choosing blue to keep it monochromatic. First, I chose this blue color, which is what you'll see in the entire tutorial, but before rendering I changed the color again. I will show you my final background color in a second. Now the problem is that my toon shader is reacting to the world color, and everything we did when we rotated the sun to get the shadows where we wanted them is lost. But there's still hope. We can separate the color from the light in the background. For that, add a background node, add a light path node, and add a mix shader node. Connect the bottom background node to the second socket in the mix shader, connect the other background node, and connect the light path to the factor socket. Connect the mix shader to the world output, and now our toon shader is back to normal. In the second background node, you can see the default world color, but you could choose black or even a bright color if you wanted to change the light that the model receives. And now these colors don't affect the lighting, but only the color of our background. And like I said, I changed my background color at the end, but I'm gonna show it to you now since I'm teaching you how to make the background at this moment. Back to the layout workspace, let's draw the face features. Add a new layer. Move it up. And make a new fill material for the eyes. Go to the -Y viewpoint and go to Draw Mode. I will use the Circle tool. Since I set my stroke placement to surface, I had to hide my camera because the first time I drew the eyes, the stroke stuck to the camera, so let's avoid that. Make a circle, you can press Shift to make a perfect one. In Edit mode, let's duplicate it and place it. It's too far from the model, so let's move it on the Y-axis. Let's see how it looks in camera view mode, and I'm gonna move the eyes a bit more. And let's pick a very dark blue. For the eyes highlights, select this white material we already have, add a new layer. I'm gonna change my placement to stroke, disable the radius pressure, draw a curve on each side, and now a dot. Let's make the brush smaller and draw these sort of stars. Let's go to a sculpt mode, and with the thickness tool set to subtract, I'm gonna make the points a bit thinner. You can tweak the shape with the push tool. And let's make the stars a bit more pointy. Let's draw the mouth. Select the eyes material, add a new layer. Set surface as your stroke placement and draw the mouth. Smooth it in sculpt mode. And I want the mouth to be a bit bigger. In edit mode, I'm gonna move it closer to my model. For the tongue, add a new fill material. Let's draw the tongue. Go to Sculpt mode to perfect the shape a bit. Set the selection mode to stroke. Select the tongue, and now we can use the sculpt tools without affecting the mouth. And in edit mode, I want to move some specific points. Make sure you are in select only points. And now in select only stroke, let's move the entire stroke closer to our model. And now let's add a noise modifier to make the eye highlights twinkle. That's why I drew them in a different layer, so I could choose the highlight layer in the modifier's influence. Take the position to 0, otherwise the noise will be too much. Let's hit play, and here we have it. I have a video on how to make a blinking eye. You can watch it after you finish this model. And now let's add some elements around the model. First, let's make the leaves. You could make different elements around the ice cream. You could draw some blueberries, for example, instead of the leaves. First, we're gonna make the borders of the leaves. We can use this default material. Let's change the color. Set your stroke placement to 3D cursor, and let's draw in the -Y viewpoint while pressing Shift. If you don't have a graphic tablet and it's hard for you to draw this, you can always use the Curve tool. I will leave the link to the Curve tool section in the Blender manual in the description. In edit mode, I'm gonna move the end point. Change to point selection mode. For the fill, add a new layer and move it down. Make a new fill material. I'm gonna pick this lime green color. Make a new material for the veins. I picked a light green color. You could use the leaves lines material instead of making a new one, but you'll see that a slightly different color looks good too. Add a new layer and move it down so it stays below the lines layer but on top of the fill layer. In edit mode, select all and rotate the leaf. Duplicate it, and let's move it to the other side. I'm gonna rotate it. And in camera view mode, let's see the placement of the lips. Duplicate to make another one. I feel like the veins are too thin, so let's select those strokes only and go to Stroke, Normalize Thickness, and let's make them a bit thicker. You could also make them thinner if you like. Let's scale the lips to add some variety. Back to draw mode, let's make the drops. Add a new layer. I move it up just to keep it organized, but you could leave it below the lips layers as well. I made a new stroke material and I sampled this light blue color from the 3D model, but I'm gonna change the color in Edit. In a sculpt mode, I'm gonna change the shape a bit using the Brush tool. Remember, you can choose the colors you like, and in case you wonder how I came up with the color scheme for this piece, I looked at different images, I played with different colors until I was happy. And once I had my color choices, I filmed the footage for this tutorial, so it wasn't a process as clean as it seems in this tutorial. Let's smooth it a bit. For making the highlights on the drops, add a material slot and pick the white highlight material we already have. I think the drops will look better if they were darker, so let's sample this blue color from our model. Let's rotate and move this drop a bit. And in a sculpt mode, I will make the final changes to the drop's shape. Before rendering, remember to enable the Set Path so the grease pencil gets rendered correctly. And here we have it. If you finished this project, congratulations, and if you'd like to take this model to the next level, you could add a blink animation to the eyes. I have a tutorial for that, and you could also make a different procedural background by following this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one. Bye!